demonetized.
Okay, I'm recording again.
Doesn't like weed.
Okay guys, so today we're going to be talking about Romanticism. This is a semi-serious presentation, and it will be interactive, so I'm going to be asking you questions. If you don't ask questions, I'm going to be like a teacher who rolls their eyes and continues talking, and then you're just going to be tired. So I'm Julian Margaret Cameron. I was a photographer during the Romanticism era. This is one of my photos. It's called Zoe Made of Athens. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have to think it's cool. So what do you guys think art is?
That photo you took.
And what about it makes it art?
It's beautiful woman.
Beautiful woman. You raise your hand.
I think that picture is art because it's taken with the intention of being like displayed and being artistic.
Intention and beauty, those are really good descriptions of what art is. For the simplicity of giving a quick definition, I think the best way that for today we're going to call it creation. So art is something that has been created, because a lot of people are like, oh, like art is this, art is that, art is beauty, blah blah blah. But like, let's just think of like you created, like Soleil is creating this drawing right now, and you guys are creating this video right now, and I created this presentation. So like, instead of defining what is and isn't good art, that's what we'll use as a definition. But what is science, guys? What's the difference between art and science? What's science?
Real.
Science is the development of learning things to learn more and know things about the world and stuff. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Anybody else? So science is real. Science is knowledge, studying, experimenting. But I think that the best way to define it is existing. Science is already existing, and what scientists do is they try and define what is already existing with like science and mathematics so that it's able to be predicted, you know, like meteorology and blah blah blah. And like, that's why, you know, you either choose an art school or you choose a more sciencey school, because like either you want to define the way that the world is, or maybe you just want to create stuff, blah blah blah. So what is the camera, guys? Is the camera art or is it science?
Art and science.
It's
I feel like you could argue both.
It's both.
Like it has, it says science and technology inside of it.
Well, it creates art, but I don't know if it's necessarily the
I mean,
art.
you could argue that the design of like maybe like the logo or the camera itself, you could say that's art, you know?
Exactly. The camera itself was created by someone, and like the phone you're holding right now, it was manufactured by someone who designed it. So it goes through this process of being created, so it's technically an art. But the photo that it takes is an act of science, because it goes through all these scientific processes to do its, you know, there's a system behind it that produces something. So creating a photo is art, but there's just like the old sciencey versions of like how people, like, it used to be really chemistry based, the way that people would make photos. But what is a photo? What is a photo?
Anything you take a picture of.
What's a photo?
A photo captures a moment in time.
Ooh. So, this is the technical Wikipedia definition. A photograph is an image created by falling light on a photosensitive surface, blah blah blah, science stuff. But a photograph is an image. That's an important part, because the photosensitive surface stuff, light falling, that's science. But the image itself, what is an image? It's a visual representation. So when you think of a photo, it's an image of whatever you're taking it of. So this is going to be really complicated, but I'm going to try and explain it so you guys understand. So here's you with your lovely camera. This is you. You're so happy, you're filming, you know, you're taking pictures. But we gotta make sure that you're in a world, right? Because if you're just sitting here, that doesn't really make sense, you know, like what are you gonna take a picture of? The white, vast world of nothing? But here, so this is the existence, this is science, this is the world around you, and there's a bird, and you're gonna take a picture of this bird. but let's make it a little bit more accurate and give you a phone because not many people have a real camera anymore. But so this is the picture that you take of the bird, right? And you take a photo of this bird. So this is the image of the bird that you took. But there's also Jim. We got to think about Jim. Jim is also here taking a photo, but from a different angle. And this is his version of the photo. It's basically the same photo, but it's flipped. Who did it better, guys? Who did it better?
That's subjective.
It's
Whoever
subjective.
we want to do better.
Whoever you want to do better. Who do you think did it better? Jim or you?
I think I did.
Because
I'm a better photographer.
I think Jim probably copied off of me.
Yeah, I think so too. He
Exactly.
plagiarized.
Yeah.
So the most important part where people typically lose point of it is like both you and Jim are creating this photo and the image. Like you're posing it, you know, in this situation, like this is the world around you and you're the most important part of the photograph is you because you're the one choosing whether or not you zoom in or zoom out, or if you take it from a different angle like Jim over here. Like the bird is basically the same thing. Like it's still a bird, it still exists, but the photograph is different. Like, you know, this angle of this presentation is different from this angle because you and you are doing it differently. So the photo itself is created by science because, you know, scientific processes, but the image itself is created by you or Jim. And so what era was art about the individual? Circling back to the point of this presentation, guys, is Romanticism. Romanticism. So photography is an art science, and now we know that this era focuses on the individual aspect. Like we see all this stuff. Like it was a 19th century movement, and it emphasized.
That
like,
says 18th
inspiration.
century.
Oh, it's the end of the 18th century.
Mm.
So then it continues on to the 19th century. That's what we're talking about in my class. So that's why I say 19th century, because there are a bunch of different ideologies, but I'm just going to focus on Romanticism because it's the best one in my opinion. It's just my favorite. So you guys are like, oh, Romanticism, I don't really know what that is. Like, I'm guessing you guys are like, okay, like, why do I care about this? Frankenstein, guys. Frankenstein was written, the book was written by the woman, Mary Shelley, and the book is fire, and the book is about this guy getting created, and then he's like, why was I created, and all this, the hoopla, and she was a Romanticist writer, and it's important because then it's like, well, who are other artists at the time? But these are basically the overall themes of Romanticism. So they break the social norms. So like at the time, breaking the social norms. So European women, this is important because it's European women, it's not women other places, but women like Mary Shelley were starting to make art, or at least be credited for their art and stuff. And they focused on tragedy and imagination and escapism. So mentally ill people were really prominent. So like Frankenstein, he was just really ill because he was like, why was I created, and all that bullshit. And then imagination, escapism. So like Alice in Wonderland was written during the time. So like people kind of wanted to escape from reality and all that hoopla. So in Romanticism, art was basically a metaphor for the human experience. So it was like taking the real, but putting a giant metaphor on it. And then so these are going to be the photographers that I'm focusing on to make this relevant for you guys. Lewis Carroll, he wrote Alice in Wonderland, and he took a lot of controversial pictures of kids. He had interesting affinities, and it makes me rethink the way that Alice in Wonderland was written. But basically, the interesting thing about photography during this era was that they unapologetically staged it. Like they staged it, they had a story behind it. Like you could argue that he kind of looks like Peter Pan. Like he's a little mustache on him like that. I mean, it's kind of weird because now you know that like he probably likes kids, but whatever, you know, you gotta move on. Unfortunately, Lady Howardin, she's broke the social norms because she posed a lot of like women doing Victorian things and like not like she was one of the first like fashion photographers at the time, and not many women did this kind of stuff, and she was kind of bougie. And then there's me, Julia Mark Cameron. Yeah, you guys forget that I was role playing her the entire time. Yeah, that was me. So she did tragedy, because a lot of her photos focused on like the psychological aspect of the characters, and she also posed them as like characters from fictional like Greek mythology or the Bibles to make it more relevant. Like you see the Virgin Mary here, or like cherubs and the guy on the left. Like she was hashtag deep, guys. But like, why should you care? Because you guys are like, okay, this is a lot of old people, and I don't really care. Look at these guys: Elon Musk, Grimes, and Kurt Cobain. What do you guys think about all these people? Like, that's crazy. Why would I start talking about that? Well, let's think about it. Let's think about it. Like, what does Elon Musk do? What does Grimes do? What does Kurt Cobain do, right? Elon Musk, his entire thing is like, let's escape planet Earth. Like, let's do crazy shit, you know? Like, he makes California high-speed rail. He wants to destroy it. You know, he wants to go to Mars. He made a Cybertruck. Like, he wants to get out of here. Like, so a lot of his stuff is, like, politically based, which is important because a lot of people buy into it because they're like, yeah, the world sucks, like, let's go somewhere else, you know? And Grimes, I mean, she dated him, so this is even more relevant, but, like, she did her whole freaking Visions album in a crack house, like, and she was locked in her room, so, like, she's trying to, like, break the social norm, but also kind of playing into it, and also, like, she's a giant meme, like, she's literally a social norm in and of itself, but also like a women doing stuff, like that's great, guys. Women deserve to be crazy too, guys. And Kurt Cobain is representation of tragedy because, guys, he died when he was 27, as I'm sure that you know, but he's a part of this thing called the 27 Club, so then people romanticize it and then think like, oh guys, like 27 Club, like that's so cool, I want to die when I'm 27 too and be a famous artist. But, like, just thinking about all of them and just thinking, like, how these themes are still prevalent today, like, people are so obsessed with tragedy, are so obsessed with, like, breaking social norm, and escaping from our current reality. So this is the why. I make you care about it. Hope you care about it now. Bye. Thanks for watching my presentation.